Thank you all for joining. Welcome to the TN webinar series. Today we're going to be talking about TN Tech Hub. This is really a brand new way to look at and work with ThrottleNet, and of course looking inside your company. My name is George Rosenthal. I'm the president and founder of ThrottleNet, and right with me today is KJ Miller. He's our VCIO, one of the VCIOs, of course, of many. KJ's out in our new Kansas City office. For those of you who don't know, we've expanded to KC recently. Yeah. And so it's good to have you here. And so today we're going to be jumping into real quickly on some topics. If you have any questions, be sure to put them in the chat. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. What is TN Tech Hub in a nutshell, and who's using it?
So TN Tech Hub, is it's going to be a one source of truth. That's what I like to call it, the one source of truth for each of our clients. So if you're a client of ThrottleNet, you're going to have access to this. It's going to be a place where you can see your workstations, your servers, your software, your service tickets, training. So it's just kind of got a little bit of everything for each one of our clients.
That's great. So we're going to get into the varying roles that you can have and the different types of things that it does here in a little bit. But that's fascinating. So if we could show the homepage of what this looks like. So if you're a client of ThrottleNet, this is the tool that will run and give you all the information you could possibly imagine. And we're going to get into some customizations and really neat things you can do. Right out of the gate, though, in case you don't stick around for the entire webinar, if you are a client of ThrottleNet's, be sure you contact your VCIO.
Correct, yes.
To get you signed up for this.
Yeah. Reach out to your VCIO, whoever that is, and they will get you set up, whether you need admin access or user access or billing access. There's lots of different options, but they'll get you set up and ready to go.
And there's no extra charge. It's ready to go. If you're a client of ThrottleNet, you need to be using Tech Hub. TN Tech Hub needs to be signed up for, though. It just doesn't turn on. So make sure you're contacting your VCIO.
Reach out to your VCIO and they'll get you set up.
It's very important. Okay, great. Well, let's take a look at the homepage here when you do go to the site, and we'll talk about how to get to it and everything.
Yeah, so the homepage here, when you first log in, you're going to see the company tab, which will give you information. There's going to be bullet points in there for some training articles. So anything that your company may think is pertinent, anything that we think you may need to know about, how to open tickets, how to use the Barracuda email, email filter, how to check your quarantine messages, how to send a secure message, things of that nature. And there'll also be some web links in there for any SaaS applications that you use. And that way you know that it is a secure link. You know that it's going to point you to the right place and you're not going to click on anything by accident.
That's fast. Yeah, that's great. I mean, so really this dashboard is going to look a little different, though, for different people.
Yeah, different clients have different applications, different needs. So it's going to look completely different, but it's going to be set up for your client, for your company specifically, so that you'll have only the applications that you need, only articles that are pertinent to you as an organization.
So how do I access it?
One.throttlenet.com is how you access it. It's very simple. It's actually tied in with your 365 credentials. So you'll be able to go to, once you talk to your VCIO and get set up, you'll be able to go to one.throttlenet.com and log in with your credentials and have access to all the information right there in the Tech Hub.
And that's ONE, correct?
Yeah, ONE. One.
ONE,
yep.
Yes.
ONE, yep. One.throttlenet.com.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. So once you're there and you get in there, how do I get into support? So let's say I get into the TN Tech Hub and I just have a problem with my computer. I just need to get some help.
Yeah, so there's a support tab on the left side there that will show you how to open up a support ticket. There's different categories of tickets, whether it's a workstation issue, a printer issue, a software issue, so you can select those different types of issues and open a ticket from there. You can view any of your past tickets. You can view any tickets that you currently have open. And also in the top right corner, there's a little headphone icon that actually is the same as the TN icon on your desktop, where you can open a support session immediately from the TN Tech Hub.
Wow. So while you're looking at all your support tickets, whether you're an internal IT member at the company, or whether you're a regular team member and you just need some help, you can access that from the dashboard.
Yeah, it's all going to be right there in the dashboard, and you can get help immediately from the dashboard as well.
That's great. So there will still be, though, a desktop icon. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's still a desktop icon. You can still email. You can still call if you need to. Obviously, the preferred method is either using that headphone icon or the TN icon on your desktop.
That's great.
Those will get you the quickest support.
That's great, and definitely under 2 minutes.
Under 2 minutes.
That's right. So, as everybody knows, one of the biggest weaknesses that any company has to deal with is the staff. We're not trying to offend them, but one wrong click on something, one wrong move in the cyber world, and you could infiltrate the network and get the company in trouble. So how are we continuing to educate everybody to make sure that on a regular basis there's training out there to not do things you're not supposed to endanger the company.
So in the Tech Hub, we have a university section, and in that university section, there are courses and tests, quizzes, and things that we have created that are also created by you can create them internally. So if there's any training you want your users to go through that are pertinent to your organization, they can be uploaded into there. And you can assign them. You can see who's done, who has completed their assigned courses, and there's also things in there for like how to use Office applications, how to maybe get better at Excel, maybe better at PowerPoint, things of that nature. So lots of training is available, and then like I said, you can also upload things that are pertinent to your specific organization, which is really cool. So if we onboard a new employee, you can put all of your onboarding material in there and create a course and onboard a new employee through that and do your training directly in the Tech Hub.
That's so great. So that's something that every client that's out there, or if you're not using ThrottleNet, we would highly recommend that, obviously. But if every client that's out there, when you bring on a new hire, now you've got a central spot to go to, educate everybody, and then actually have them on a regular go back once, maybe twice a year, just to refresh on what's going on.
Or if you add new courses, we also upload things like our webinars and anything that we find pertinent, that we see as your MSP. So there's always new content being added and can be added at any time. So that's definitely worth constantly looking at.
That's great. So I know we do work with a lot of companies that have internal IT staff. Of course, if they don't have an internal IT staff, and let's say there's a main point of contact or a network admin that's inside the organization, they're going to still want to have access to their infrastructure and their network. So they're going to want to see a lot of things that necessarily not every vendor or MSP out there would allow them to see. So what kinds of things, how do they still have access to their infrastructure and their network?
So there's an entire infrastructure tab on the left there in the Tech Hub. And from there, you can see some great information. So you can check your domains. You can see when your domains are going to be up for renewal, which helps allow for planning. You can see your servers, your endpoints, and under each one of those tabs, there's tons of great information. Under the endpoints, you can see warranty information about the device, when it was shipped, when the warranty expires, if it's expired, if it's Windows 11 ready, because Windows 10 is becoming end of life towards the end of this year. So it'll tell you if those devices are Windows 11 ready, if they have the right antivirus on them, if they have their drives encrypted. So lots of great information there. And then the same thing with the servers. It will also kind of show you, the same health about your servers. And the great thing is there's a little button on the top right that says download. You can download all of that into a filterable Excel document. So if you want to look at it outside of the Tech Hub, or if you want to do some filtering, you can use that download button.
Well, that's great. So you have full open exposure to the infrastructure network. So that's what's fantastic. It's nothing's hidden from you as a network admin. Or your main point of contact there. And which is extremely important.
Very important. And there's no wait. Like, sometimes you may email in the past and say, hey, I need an audit of all my workstations or an audit of my servers or something like that. Instead of you waiting for a reply, you can just go in and grab it yourself. Obviously, we will still get it for you if you ask.
Sure.
It's there for you if you want to get it on your own.
That's fantastic. I know. Again, on the same level of making sure you have a handle on the infrastructure and the network is going to be the software installed. I mean, a lot of clients out there have a lot of software. I know some's in the cloud, of course, and so forth, but you do have software on your actual endpoints that have a license associated and so forth. And we'll get into licenses in a second, but how are you managing all the software that's installed?
So in that same infrastructure section in the Tech Hub, there's a software piece, and that shows all pieces of software that are installed across all workstations in your environment, all endpoints. And it shows you how many installs there are. So if you want to know, hey, we're paying for Adobe Acrobat licensing, and we're paying for X number, you can go into the Tech Hub and see how many it's installed on, and see, hey, am I at that number? Is everybody installing it? Or maybe I'm over, or maybe it can help you reduce your license count to cut some costs because you're paying for 80 licenses and you're only using 50.
Right. So, in fact, let's talk about licenses for a second. That can be extremely expensive. Number one. Number two, as people come and go from the company, licenses may not be reused or canceled, or they may just buy more licenses for new hires, and then you still have all these other licenses out there, and that can get very expensive. How, not only that, making sure you have the right licenses instead of having, maybe you've got some folks in the field that don't need Word and PowerPoint and Excel, they just need their email. How are you managing all of that through TN Tech Hub?
Yeah, so in the Tech Hub, there's a usage section, and in that usage section, there's a licensing section specifically that pertains to your Office 365 licensing, and it pulls that directly from Microsoft. So it shows you at any given moment exactly how many licenses are in use for any of the software that you're subscribed to. So you can say, okay, we've got business premium licensing. We are using 10 out of the 10 that we have assigned, and we're getting ready to hire someone. So I know I need to purchase an additional license. So it helps you kind of plan when you need to purchase. And also, as you mentioned, like, hey, we off-boarded a couple people, or we've got some extra licensing so we can reduce that cost in the future to reduce our running costs.
Yep. That makes sense. That's great. That's really great. Now, of course, with all of this comes the deal that you don't want everybody seeing everything.
Yep.
So let's talk roles for a second. You can actually separate out roles.
Yeah.
So that not everybody, you have basically a custom dashboard, essentially.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So, we can have a user role where basically they're going to see some of those training courses, some knowledge-based articles, obviously have the ability to open up a support ticket and see their SaaS applications, where you can click on those links. We have a billing role, so if you need to come in and pay invoices, that's something you can do through the Tech Hub. You can see your open invoices, click on a link, and then go straight to the payment portal. And then we have our admin role, which is kind of for our main POCs. Maybe if we are doing co-IT, where you can have the full functionality of seeing all of the infrastructure, all of the endpoints, all of the software, the licenses, and things like that.
That's great. Yeah, that's fantastic. I mean, so obviously you could tell we're starting to manage the whole company from one spot.
Absolutely.
Let's go a step further. And a lot of clients out there have compliance issues.
Yes.
They have to deal with everything from HIPAA to Sarbanes-Oxley, you name it. How is TN Tech Hub helping with compliance reports?
Yeah, so in our compliance section on the TN Tech Hub, there's multiple sections in there, but some of the most important ones are policies, assessments, and reports. And the assessments, we do an assessment when we onboard you as a client, and then we repeat that same assessment every quarter so we can show you the progress that you're making towards what we consider best practices and standards. So you can click on the assessment inside of the Tech Hub, view things that you are currently maybe not compliant on or partially compliant on. And you can see the details on those, and there'll be notes on there. Hey, you need to do this, or maybe it says you're not compliant with disk encryption across, but maybe there's only 1 or 2 laptops that are missing that. So you can see those details inside of the assessment. And one of the great things, I know we've talked about it already, the planner, but any of these items you can click on. There's a button at the top that says add to planner. So you can click on an item, add it to your planner, so you can plan to fix those items at a future date or at a current time.
Yeah, the planner, that is such a fantastic thing to be able to do. And honestly, putting things down in an Excel spreadsheet and just hoping it sits and gets looked at once in a while doesn't work. But if you have a team that can come together and look at the dashboard together with you, one thing that you get into the dashboard, a lot of MSPs out there will say, oh, well, we have a dashboard as well. Yeah. But there's a difference here between what we're talking about with a ThrottleNet dashboard, a TN Tech Hub dashboard versus anybody else. So how can you customize these dashboards?
Yeah, so our dashboards are completely customizable as long as we have access to the data, and we can pull that data into whether it's the Tech Hub or another source and bring it into the Tech Hub. Yeah. As long as we have access to the data, we can create a dashboard for you. So we have some that we create for all of our clients on some key KPIs like tickets amounts, the average time to close, history of tickets, and things like that. But there's really an unlimited possibility as far as those dashboards go. Whatever you want to see, as long as we have access to that data, we can pull it into the Tech Hub for you and create a dashboard for you.
So basically, essentially, you're creating a business intelligence hub, not just on your network, but as the whole company is doing as a whole, to take a look at everything in one spot.
Absolutely.
So if any type of system you're using, whether it be an AI system, a lot of it will have data connection points that we can make connection points to and pull that over. So that's something.
API, and like I said, as long as we can get to the data, we can potentially create a dashboard for you and pull it into the Tech Hub.
And I would definitely take advantage of that if you're out there. Again, there's no extra charge for this if you're already a ThrottleNet client. The key is to make sure you've contacted your VCIO to get signed up for TN Tech Hub. That's going to be the big thing. We did talk a little bit about planning.
Yes.
And of course, obviously being a VCIO, you're doing quarterly reviews. And again, that's another thing as a ThrottleNet client you're going to receive as a VCIO, you showing up and talking about your quarterly reports and things that are going on. What's great though ahead of time with this TN Tech Hub is now you can get kind of a feel of what you're going to bring to the table.
Absolutely.
And then sit down with you to go over all of this from an outside perspective.
Yeah,
I think
so
that's really important.
under the under your account section, there's the planner on the left side, and the planner is really kind of the bread and butter of the Tech Hub. Everything else is great about the Tech Hub, but the planner is really, in my opinion, the best part of the Tech Hub.
Agreed.
So,
yeah.
like I mentioned, any of the items, whether it's a workstation that needs upgrading, whether it's software that needs to be installed, we talked about your domains that may need to be renewed, all of those things from the Tech Hub can be added directly into your planner. And this planner is customized to you and your business, and your VCIO works on it with you. So you can add items to the planner, your VCIO will add items to the planner, and you can assign monetary numbers to the items. So if you need to upgrade a firewall, or you have to renew your domain, or you need to replace workstation, you can put dollar amounts on these items in the planner, and it'll help you create a running budget for what your IT spend is going to be for the year. So it can really help solidify that IT budget and solidify a strategic roadmap, per se, for your clients, so that you can, or for your business, so that you know what you're going to spend, you know what needs to happen in the future, and any recommendations that we have or that you need.
That's so powerful. I mean, instead of waiting 3 months to see your report, they can go in and actually start adding action items immediately.
Absolutely.
And then start planning on a budget. So it's not a surprise when you need 10 new workstations in 6 months, because we've been talking about this. But what's great is you get to actually include yourself in that process now, instead of just waiting.
Yeah, you don't have to wait for that quarterly business, but you can add items to it at any time, and your VCIO will be in there adding items to it. As assessments are done, as we notice workstations are becoming end of life, things of that nature, we're going to go in, take a look, and add those to that roadmap for you.
That is fantastic. There's so much involved in what TN Tech Hub is now going to bring to every client out there. It's extremely powerful. Again, third time, highly encourage you to sign up for this. There is no charge. If you are a ThrottleNet client, contact your VCIO to make sure you have that. Then we can go through and teach you how to use it, set up all the roles, and get all of that established for you.
It's a great collaboration tool. So we like to think of everything. You're not clients, you're partners. We want it to be a partnership. So this is a way to create that partnership, giving you access to all the information that you could possibly need, but also have the ability to be strategic and create those roadmaps and those long-term plans.
That's great. That's fantastic. Well, let's go through some questions. I know we probably have some out there. I've seen a couple here. The first one was, if I'm already a client, how do I access it? We make sure we covered that.
one.throttlenet.com, and that's ONE, not the number one.
That's right.
One.throttlenet.com, and just ask your VCIO to make sure that he has you set up, and they will get you set up and get you access, and then you'll be able to log in with your 365 credentials.
That's perfect. And then let's see, I have one here. How does all the information get pulled into one location?
Yeah, so when you're a ThrottleNet client, we have our agent that goes onto your machine, and this is part of that agent. So that agent just pulls all the data, and it also has connections into 365, so that it's pulling that information for you. So it pulls from various sites, but for the workstation and the software information, it pulls that from the agent that we install as part of our software suite.
That's great. That's fantastic. And then one is, we talked about this at the very beginning, was how can I access the TN Tech Hub through the desktop icon?
You cannot access the Tech Hub through the desktop icon, but you can access the desktop icon through the Tech Hub. So you can still get that 2-minute support from the Tech Hub.
So if anybody has any other questions later on, of course, be sure to contact your VCIO. It's very important. Especially if you're not a client of ThrottleNet, you may want to check this out. I think this is something that will drastically improve the efficiency. It'll help grow the business. This is something that brings basically everything together into one spot.
Yeah, it's like I said, collaboration point. Yeah. I like to use the phrase, and I've used it multiple times, one source of truth. So
one source of truth.
Instead of you having to go 10 different places to look for your Office licensing versus your software that's installed on your computers versus your inventory of workstations versus your life cycle of hardware. It's all going to be in one place for you when you come to ThrottleNet.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate you joining us here on TN Webinar Series. And of course, we will see you next month for a different topic, and we'll definitely have KJ back as well. Thank you guys so much for coming, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.